TrueStoryDesu. Last year, 2015, I did not have depression. I know because doctors told me so. Now let me be clear. Just like with copyright, I am not a lawyer. So just like with depression, I am not a physician, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or a poet. All those socially acceptable people we look to speak authoritatively on such a subject. I have a creative writing degree, but it's not in poetry. It's fiction, non-fiction. That's what I did. With all the rights, privileges, and honors pertaining to that degree. Rights, privileges, and honors for a creative writing degree. That's. I wish I'd gotten this big of a chuckle out of it the day I got it. So anyway, poetry. Not my bag. My cat sits squarely on the mat. Or on old record players by the window. And you know what? A little bit of lie. Those aren't even my cats. They're roomies. Yeah. So sorry, Miss Snyder, about that poetry workshop job you tried to get me. Like I said, it wasn't my bag. But thanks. So last year, 2015, I was living in California and having a hell of a time finding work. I mean, I'm 37, I do have 3 college degrees, but I got them all after I turned 30. And even while I was in college, I did not really follow a traditional professional path to academic work. It just didn't seem to be the best use of my time. I spent still most of my life in customer service work and the retail industry, and I worked mostly in those areas even while going to school. Maybe it was my fault because it was comfortable and it was what I knew, but there just didn't seem to be a whole lot of opportunities for creative writer workers, you know, over 30 and so on. Plus the graduate level schools I did go to did not offer things like teaching assistantships and positions like that. I chose a hard road. I loved it. But my last job in California, at least the one right before this story begins, at least coincided with my interests. I worked in a used bookstore warehouse where we sold books online. Books mean more to me than almost anything. How I got there and why I left, that's another story. But when it comes to applying to most jobs, I seem to be either inexperienced, where my education should be an asset, or overqualified, where my actual work history should be an asset. One thing friends recommend when I apply for like lower level work is to basically omit my education. Just hide it. Just ignore that it ever happened. I worked too hard. I sacrificed too much to get those degrees. Whatever anybody else thinks about them, I'm going to proudly declare them every single time. I can bend my neck and swallow my pride quite well, but only so far, and that is too damn far. Even if they turn out to be meaningless, which I don't think is true. Meaningless. I will not rickroll. It's tempting, but I am better than that. So I applied for a spectrum of jobs, from cashiering to editing to working in the Stanford Library. I applied to Patreon. I applied to Crunchyroll as an editor even. I really thought those were shoo-ins. Didn't happen. When I interviewed for entry-level jobs, I continually got these apprehensive questions. Are you going to stay around here? You do realize this is a minimum wage job, right? So speaking of Stanford, I signed up for what any out-of-work slob ought to do. Medical experiments!
It's alive! Oh, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! Oh, in the name of God! Now I know what it feels like to be God!
They were going to shoot little electric shots into my head to bust me out of depression. You see, I didn't know what else to call it. Why else was everything in life so hard? Not just at that moment, but constantly. Why was I so dispirited in job searches and trying to figure out what to do with my life and trying to figure out how to get out of every life I'd had before? Why was I not eating much? Why was I just eating peanut butter sandwiches and rice and convincing myself that I was just cutting down on costs? why was I such a night owl? Why was my sleep schedule so erratic? Why would I wake up at noon and go back to sleep? I didn't know what else to call it. Depression seemed good. Seemed like sort of the right answer, and you know, maybe I can get some shocks in my head, and hey, whatever they got. If it can help me be more energetic. Maybe I wasn't being energetic enough in interviews. Maybe I just was too much of a sad sack. I was frickin' Ted from Scrubs. And I was certainly powerless and isolated and terrified. You can even see like a video of me saying that. And that was after this story. I was nothing. I was nothing. And not the good Zen kind of nothing. Just nothing. Willing to try anything. Maybe it was all me. Maybe it was motivation. I signed up. I passed their questionnaire. They brought me in for an interview. They tested the shocks on me. It wasn't bad, really. Just a little bit of zip. You know, a little finger twitch was all they were looking for. It's not bad, actually. Turns out I have a really high tolerance for being electrocuted. You know, once I was trying to fix a dryer, and I forgot to unplug it first. Just stuck my hand right up in there, touched the coils. Didn't even think to unplug it. Took a nice 10, 20-minute nap on the linoleum. Tolerance, not immunity. Then they sent in a psychiatrist to evaluate me. And she asked me about normal things, sleep schedule, eating habits, and of course my job difficulties, and of course my current emotional state. And, you know, at that point, I just started, you know, just defensive jokes, you know, clearly, I felt bad. That's why I was there. That's why I thought this might help. And I could get paid and get help at the same time. Why elaborate on that? But she wouldn't take that. She just sat there and waited. And waited. And asked if I was really ready to answer her questions now. So slowly I did. No filtering. Not after the first few sentences, anyway. And I just was honest about how goddamn hard it was. Maybe I make these videos and attempt to force myself to say things like that. But there's only so far I can go right now. I told her how difficult life was and how it was nothing new. I don't know if that's depression or not. It's just how I felt. And well, may not help that it's raining out here a little bit. Well, it's not really raining, but it's a little bright. I'm almost a bit to tears just remembering it right now, and I there were some tears. There were some tears in that room. And I wiped away, and I felt much better. I mean, not that was a solution to everything, but I mean, it was somebody listened. No judgment. No judgment for the past, no judgment from someone who just doesn't know you from Adam and isn't looking to help you. Just listened and wrote it all down. And, said thank you, and I left. And I got an email later, and they said, hey, you're good. So I guess I was depressed. My God, I figured it out. I was depressed. Oh, God, yes, there's a real problem. Ain't that grand? I mean, you know, it's not all right to be depressed. It sucks, right? But at least I can say to all those failed job applications, hey, I'm not worthless. There's actually something happening that I am maybe only partially responsible for. I didn't know how to describe all that. I didn't even actually write that stuff down. It actually says right here, just riff here. Just riff here. And I don't think I was even totally honest with you there. I was as honest as I could be right now, and it'll have to do. There was no need to filter. There was no need to overhype anything. It was just real. So they brought me in for an MRI test.
How it works is you will lay on the table, and the bed will move up, and it will go in, and it will take pictures just like you would with a normal camera. It just looks a little bit different. Once you're in the camera, It doesn't hurt, it doesn't spin around on you, or it doesn't close in.
She's right. MRI is a breeze. They just put you in that little hole, and they have you look at some pictures, and they shine some lights on you, and I don't know, I found it nice and snug and cozy. The closing in part of the pain really comes after this MRI thing is over. They called me back. They said their supervisor felt that some questions weren't asked the first time doing the psychiatry test. So they wanted me to see another person. Okay, sure, fine, whatever. Let's just get this show on the road so I can get zapped and get some money in my pocket. Bullshit! They were the same damn questions. It's the same thing over and over again, but it was a new focus with 2 areas she was concentrating on. Suicidal thoughts and my jobless situation. Okay, it's not that I was suicidal. I was not suicidal. Don't anybody who knows me freak out. I mean, dark thoughts like that, maybe when I was a teenager and I was somewhere in between loving tie-dye and loving The Crow. But since then, no. I'm too damn pissed off at the world to ever let it win. Now look, I don't want to offer any judgment on anybody else who has had such thoughts, who has struggled with them, or if you know someone who has struggled with them. It's real, it's tough, it's difficult, it's terrible. Please, for me, only for me, suicide would be letting the world win. It's letting the bastards win. And I just can't let the bastards win. Second was her insistence that if I got a job tomorrow, I'd be fine, right? That seemed to be the major worry I had, and true, it's a major worry to have. Aristotle is right. It's hard to be virtuous when you're starving. However, I have walked that road a very, very long time. I don't know if just getting a job the next day was going to suddenly make me right. I've had jobs. I've been stable. That didn't necessarily make me okay. Now, I've got this creative writing degree and a liberal arts degree and an Eastern Classics degree, and I just now escaped a philosophy MA back in California. So I hear terms like existential crisis. That's what she kept calling it, an existential crisis. It seems, sir, that you just have an existential crisis instead of depression. I am really not a fan of that term anymore. I think it's overused, I think it's a cop-out, and I think it's just inaccurate as to what we encounter in life. Depression might be a better one. But now the bar seems high. That's weird for something so terrible.
And I'm going to talk to you about what it is, why it matters, and what to do about it. And I know that a lot of you probably don't have really any experience with philosophy, or you may not even be interested in it, right? But this is actually an issue that's super relevant to your life right now. College is a big turning point in your life. You're making a lot of decisions that impact literally the rest of your life, right? The careers that you're doing, the people that you meet. And this is when these big questions, these existential questions, really come up and become relevant to you.
I don't mean to dump on this lady. She's just a student in philosophy who made a presentation on existential crisis, and it happens to be near the top of the YouTube search. Fine and dandy. But I would like to point out that that's part of the problem, that she's already saying, hey, you get here, you get to college, it's something when you look at the universe. Does it require you to have to delve into philosophy first? Is there that much of a difference between depression and existential crises? What I encountered in that second interview, analysis counseling session, what do I even call it, was a dismissiveness that all my suffering was, just a paper tiger. It wasn't fit enough for, whatever they were doing. And man, what is your suffering fit for? I don't even know. It's a month before I'd ran out of my cash reserves. I'd had to go apply for food stamps again. I'd only done that actually when I was in school a couple of times. Then it just seemed more like financial aid. It's not like I wasn't doing anything for it that I thought was socially admirable. Now it's just desperation. And when I sat in there and she said, well, why aren't you working right now? And I said, I've been on lots of interviews. I've been on lots of applications. I keep hearing the same thing, that I'm inexperienced or overqualified. And she just, as if that were a thing. Yeah, it's a thing. All right? it's a thing. I encountered it again and again, and it's a goddamn thing. All that was bundled up in a neat, perfect package. And I was diagnosed okay, I guess. And screwed out of a longer paying study. So I got screwed out of getting paid. Again. I don't know if I didn't get help I needed. Or need. I don't know. I don't know if I get a job tomorrow and I'm fine. I don't know. Apparently, I do like living. I love this world even when it doesn't give a damn for me. And I will never let the bastards win.
So just to recap, if you're having an existential crisis, you're coming up against these questions of uncertainty and powerlessness and isolation, you can deal with your feelings of meaninglessness by accepting them, right, and making meaningful choices and changing your perspective to make these things possible.
Bullshit! It just isn't that simple. I'm sorry, it's not. That's good advice, but it has to accompany other positive changes happening in your life. Or it's just feel-good talk. It doesn't do the work itself. I'm not bothered by existential crises or imposter syndrome. I feel like I've been just living with those my entire life since I burned out of education when I was in middle school and just kind of gave up and burned out and didn't really come back to it for real until I was, nearly 30. And even then, it's still there, this dog. This damn dog. All the other dogs swimming around it with their tennis balls, loving it. And this poor dog, transfixed by a video camera. That's my whole life, right there. In a goddamn viral video. So didn't you hear? Hooray. This is all about the time I was not depressed. Because that's a victory for science? This is why I got the problem. It's just all packaged and codified and delivered to you straight like that. At least it seems like that. Like it's all biology and it's not your ongoing actual struggles in life. But of course even that's not really true. I mean, there were 2 psychiatrists. There were 2 different approaches I was given. And the second one can sure as hell go to hell. But I ain't depressed. Nope. Not me.
I can't take it anymore! I'm going on a hike!
Hey, I studied history too. I feel you, Mr. DiMartino. You take that height and don't ever let the bastards win. Thus, the story continues. Oh, I lied. I'm not better than that.
I just want to tell you